So our next presenter tonight is John Cutts. John is an outdoor education teacher at West Carleton Secondary School, which I learned recently is very close to Krista's school in Arnprior, just in different boards. So you'll hear a slightly different story from John. As part of his outdoor education program, there's an introduction to flat water, moving water, and canoe tripping. They go through all those. And John himself began paddling as a way to get into the wilderness and away from the busyness of every day. I'm sure many people here can relate to that. And since he started, paddling has allowed John to connect with people and with nature while staying active. And his wife says paddling charges his heart. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John to share a little bit about his outdoor ed program. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Liz, and thanks, Krista, for that presentation. I feel like deal with a lot of the same challenges, maybe in a slightly different fashion, but yeah, definite similarities. And your presentation really got me thinking about a few things too. So thank you for sharing. Okay, so I teach at West Carleton Secondary School, run the outdoor education program there. I'm not far from Krista at all. I'm inside the city of Ottawa limits, but I am the westernmost school in the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. So yeah, very close to Krista. Ottawa River is not far from our school either. So I'll share a bit about the program, the history, people involved, what we offer, and challenges, and then yeah, we can deal with questions after that. But our program goals, basically get kids active and outside, learning from experiences, because experience is a better teacher than me. I feel like students are more likely to listen, pay attention to those lessons instead of listening to me as well. Skills development for the outdoors, as well as some things they might be able to carry through their life. And Krista mentioned mental challenges, dealing with trips. I think that's a big one right now for sure. And I do think getting them into that environment is still helpful. It comes with added challenges, like she mentioned. I believe that to be true as well. But having them develop resilience and teamwork and being more responsible for themselves because their parents aren't there. There's a lot of good character development that I think can happen with what we offer. And our environment is, we try and make it challenge by choice, whatever we're doing. So I'm going to tell you mainly about our on-water portion of the program first, but like Krista mentioned, with the program, in order for it to run throughout the school year, we kind of need some other things to round it out. So we'll fill you in on that too. And tied to the mental health piece, is the technology. Smartphones and social media, just really pervasive in our classrooms every day. And I find that to me more of a challenge. So again, getting kids outside and active, giving them a break from that constant interaction on their phones is something else that we try to do. I believe it is coming with more challenges these days too. So a little bit of history about the program at my school. I didn't start it. I'm very lucky. I inherited it and have been running it for about the past 10 years. Before me, gentleman by the name of Dan Zero, the man, the myth, the legend. He ran the program for the bulk of it. And at the beginning, another gentleman named John Parker was also involved in the program for the first couple of years, and then Dan kind of took that over. So I do need to mention them and thank them for their work, as well as a few other individuals who helped out along the way. So like Krista mentioned, COVID definitely, our program took a hit. Thankfully, our program has rebounded somewhat. We're facing some new challenges now. But we offer grade 10 to 12 courses. Our grade 12 course just launched in 2019, and then it was really interrupted. And so it's actually just only got back on its feet again in the last couple of years. In terms of people, finding good people is a struggle, but lucky to have some people on staff to help support our program. Another teacher on staff has started taking over some other sections as well. When we were a little bit bigger, we've taken a dip, so hopefully Ryan's going to stay involved, Ryan Clare, but he was helping with our program growth because we had bounced back. So right now we're at 6 sections. I feel like that's kind of historically been, I'll say, our average and close to our biggest. We did hit 8, but our school board enrollment is on the decline, as well as our school and our program. A little bit more on that later. So to help counteract that, we're proposing a grade 9 course. So we'll see how that goes. And then on the bottom of the screen there, what I was sharing is just kind of also why I'm very lucky is that I'm attached to the Bill Mason Outdoor Education Center, and it is named after Bill Mason. And so we have 77 acres behind us of trails, marsh, forest, on top of the school property. And so we have a good working relationship with the outdoor educators that work at the center. And I'm really lucky that we get access to those grounds and that facility. So like Krista covered, getting kids on the water in a school setting can be a little bit more involved. So getting permission to do things can be a challenge. The paperwork tied to stuff can be pretty painful. My school board has gone digital, and although that's supposed to be more efficient, I'm not sure that it is in this case. They don't seem to have taken advantage of some of the things that we could there. So it's still a difficult process, and I find that going to have conversations with people is very helpful in this regard if you're looking to get stuff approved and running. One of the biggest barriers I find that I can broach more in my school is just educating, our administrators about what we're actually doing. If people aren't familiar with it, they're very concerned about it, and that's something that definitely I'm seeing at our board level. So yeah, being able to explain what we're doing with the kids, that we are taking risks, but in a managed way. And the benefits associated with that. But I do feel like that's another education piece, not tied to the students, that we need to do is, but tied to administrators. So after we get kind of over that hurdle, then Krista did mention the guidelines that we deal with. So in Ontario, a lot of school boards basically just say follow OFEA, and that stands for the Ontario Physical and Health and Education Association. And they have put out guidelines for activities, and a lot of school boards just say follow those. They've since been relabeled standards, and a lot of people just say adhere to those. And as she mentioned, historically, there's been a lot of change there. And in 2020, those guidelines got so tight that if COVID hadn't hit, I wouldn't have run programming. So COVID, in that sense, was there was a silver lining attached to it. It gave us some breathing room and some time to have discussions and get people back to the table. So that's also where I need to say a thank you to Al Fonco, Matt Caccaro, Pile Canada, other people who got back to the table, as well as others who I don't know all the names, but who were able to advocate on our behalf with OFIA. And we've seen positive change in the last 5 years in relation to those guidelines. So that has been very helpful. So part of those were pool sessions. So which we run. We're pretty lucky that we have free access to our City of Ottawa pools. We pay for the guards, transportation to get there and whatnot, but we don't have to pay for the pool rental. So get kids in there, and that experience is great. And even with OFIA's guideline changing, not requiring that, which is good for inclusivity and access for some. For us, if we're still able to do this in a cost-effective manner, we're going to keep going because of the, I'll say, controlled environment that we can introduce kids to activities in, canoe rescue, wet exits for moving water, swimming as well, but assessing their comfort level in the water, things like that. So I also don't know that my school board is likely to go away from it. I know if FIA's opened the door, I'm not sure that our board will. And so once we've kind of got an administration on board and met our requirements for guidelines with students, as well as instructors. So Krista mentioned a bunch of stuff in terms of certifications as well. So my list of certifications would be similar. We normally hold an information night for parents in relation to our trips. This is a requirement for us, but also a good thing for parents to be able to come in and ask questions. And again, I feel like it's opening that door to the education piece where we can not only educate the students, but parents as well, and then hopefully get them advocating on our behalf. Because in certain instances, I do feel like we will need that help. After that, no matter what activity we're doing on the water, this is again where I'm in a pretty lucky situation. Just adjacent to the Bill Mason Center property, we have basically a man-made lake, and the property owners historically have been very good to us. The new owner, we've got a good relationship with him. We still have access, so we can portage our canoes through the BMC and then access the pond. And we can do this during class time. And this is phenomenal for our program in terms of keeping costs in check. Like Krista mentioned, busing, transportation costs are big. And so us being able to get practice in here, which is again tied to some of those guidelines, and a good thing for us to be able to do with the kids. We have a nice controlled environment, and we can do this in a cost-effective manner, because I feel like this would be another layer of challenge for getting kids out there. For our grade 12 program, we do offer basic canoeing certifications. This is something new that we've done, and we might expand that as well, kind of move it down through the grades. But that's kind of where it sits right now. With them, we've just got a little bit more time and to be able to kind of work that in. In terms of the trips that we run, our grade 10s, we go to Algonquin Park, the Bering Canyon. We run between Acre and Squirrel, or vice versa. Portaging is a challenge. So depending on the grades that we've done this with in the past, because we have run it with different grades, definitely more challenging for the 10s, and the 12s. It's kind of a breeze for them, but it's a great place to go. Offers a lot in terms of I'll say the challenge, the scenery, as well as for us takeout options to deal with students for some of the same stuff Krista mentioned, substance use on trip. What we end up actually having to do is, we have to take the kids out. So if whatever trip we are on, if we come across that, then yeah, we have to make arrangements to get the kids there and get picked up wherever we are. Our grade 11s, we offer an introduction to moving water. This is on the Madawaska at Palmer Rapids. This trip has been running for a long time, and so again, some key people who I've got to thank, who historically have helped this keep going. We would stay at Jessup's campground, so Harold Jessup. We would book with him and go up. Andy Convery was our lead instructor at the time. Dealing with waivers and liability issues came into play eventually. Our school board, for a long period of time, would not allow any waivers of any kind. So that was a challenge. Jack Jardaliza at the Paddler Co-op helped us navigate that. We ended up shifting stuff to the co-op from Jessup's, operating under co-op insurance with outside instructors, and Paul Mason was our instructor at the time. He helped facilitate some of this, and that's ultimately what kept us going through that piece. And right now, Ryan O'Connor is heading up the co-op, and he's been really helpful to us. Again, like post-COVID, getting us back out on the water, like financially to be able to do it. And we're in conversations this year again because of, I'll say, monetary challenges. So I'll explain kind of how things differ for me from Krista there. I feel like, again, I'm kind of lucky with what I get, but there's a trade-off. So I'll come back to some of those challenges. Here's a little bit about the rest of the program. In terms of how we fill the rest of our time. So we have an indoor climbing wall and high ropes course. This was built with the school. Our school was built kind of, I'll say, as an outdoor education flagship school for the board at the time, but that was in 1988, 89. Worked very closely with the Bill Mason Center, and I still do, but not so much the rest of the school. But we're lucky that they put this in at the time, because this wouldn't happen today. So we have that across our grades. Hiking and backpacking. Here we've got a grade 12 trip on the right at Mont Tremblant National Park. Left was just Calabogie. Nordic skiing. So we can do some legwork in the Bill Mason Center. And then we head up to Gatineau Park. Wilderness first aid. So we offer a basic certification to our grade 12s there as well. And here's some other activities / units. So across the board, talking about being prepared for the outdoors and trying to manage risk. Nice to have those conversations with the kids and try and get them to understand it and think about it for themselves. We do some biking. We do some group dynamics, cooperative games type stuff, and mentorship with the grade 12s. Some winter activities, navigation. And we've also been down to the Ottawa River Canoe Club, which is really close to us, to do some dragon boating and some other on-water activities there, like an introduction to stand-up paddleboarding. Again, funding is remained constant, and our costs have been increasing. So we've trimmed kind of everything down to basically, we're kind of at the point where we're at one, I'll say, significant trip per class. So in terms of challenges, we mentioned I mentioned Ophia already, and that we've seen positive change here. It is a challenge to maintain this, like Krista mentioned. The funding to support it isn't really there. The funding to support release time and things like that isn't there as well. So it's an added challenge. And my school board, like I mentioned, even though we've had positive change with OFIA, my school board seems to be migrating in the opposite direction, and that feeling has been confirmed for me from a few different people. The risk appetite isn't there for them, and I know this can vary from board to board, so I'll just speak to what I'm experiencing. And I do think having those administrators familiar with what we do is extremely necessary, because not knowing or understanding stuff, they fear it and are looking to kibosh it. I believe what we do is safe, and just people aren't as familiar with it. Kids are playing sports where they're likely to get hurt, and frequency of injury or severity could be similar. But we don't seem to look at those sports in the same light as we do, a canoe trip. So if you're running something or trying to get stuff off the ground, then I encourage you to run with it. And if you've got it, don't give it up. Because my concern, and as Krista mentioned, some teachers are retiring and programs are unfortunately dying with them without some people coming in behind. And if we do lose that stuff, then I am worried that it will be more difficult to resurrect. Cost is another challenge, but I receive funding. I believe it was originally from the province and has now been taken over by my board. So I'm funded on a per student basis. But I'm not allowed to charge anything. And I'm looking at a donation and fundraising door options, but I don't have answers as to what I will or will not be allowed to do. I have been told in the up until this point that I cannot charge for anything. Because I do receive this funding, then I can't charge any additional fees. Well, that's how our program used to run in the past, and then it got transitioned to this model for an inclusion, I guess, reasoning. One, it being public education. If we were doing anything curricular in nature, they didn't want anyone to have to pay for it. So understand that argument, but without increased funding, with increasing costs, like transportation, which Krista mentioned. I right now am facing challenges there to keep our program going based on the budget that we have, and our reducing enrollment means that we have less funding available. So reduced from the school board all the way down to the program. So we're trying to pick and choose what we can keep alive, and try and be smart about that, and hopefully have a rebound in numbers, and possibly by offering this grade 9 section that we propose, we might be able to take advantage of a different part of our student body, to again, just generate some funds on the low end to offer some more experiences with the higher grades, or maintain them. And so here's kind of the summary for our program. Get Kids Paddling. We've averaged 6 paddling trips per year. So over the course of the program, I was guessing about 210 to date. And right now we're still at the 6 sections, so 150 kids a year is what we see coming through our door, which is pretty nice. And it's pretty nice to see 150 kids taken to a place like this. So that's it for me. Thank you for listening. And I feel like we're going to open the door to questions.